Hey, this is Michael Emery. Thanks for tuning into the Slow Baja. This podcast is powered by Tequila Fortaleza, handmade in small batches and hands down my favorite tequila. Well, if you've been listening to me for a while, you know I'm an absolute minimalist when it comes to Baja travel. But the one thing I never leave home without is a good old paper map. And my favorite is the beautiful, and I mean beautiful, Baja Road and Recreation Atlas by Benchmark Maps. It's an oversized 72-page book, jam-packed with details, and now you can get it from me at slowbaja.com. That's right. You can get it in the Slow Baja shop, and in fact, you better get two. One for your trip planning at home and one for your Baja rig. And if you love maps and you can't get enough of them like me, let me tell you about two sites I am absolutely obsessed with. Eastview MapLink and longitudemaps.com. Whatever you're looking for in maps, it's there. From the entire benchmark collection to Baja wall maps to custom maps, you'll find it all at longitudemaps.com or evmaplink.com. You know, I've long said it, ask your doctor if Baja's right for you. Well, if you've been hankering to get down to Slow Baja with me, you got to check out the Adventures tab at slowbaja.com. All my trips are there, from my famed fall vintage extravaganza to my winter and summer expeditions, which are open to trucks of any age. You know, on a Slow Baja expedition, your meals are always included, which really does take the sting out of camping. And when we get off the trail, let me tell you, we have the happiest of happy hours. If good dirt roads, private campsites, ranch stays, great food, and great people sounds like your kind of fun, well, you got to check out the Adventures tab at slowbaja.com. But don't delay. These trips are small, they're highly immersive, and they will sell out. And folks, just so you know, I am always here for you for your Baja trip planning questions. One question, 100 questions. The easy way to get me is slowbaja.com/contact. And if you'd like to go to Baja and you don't want to go by yourself, you don't have a vintage vehicle, my winter trip doesn't work out for you, I am happy to talk to you about organizing and leading a private guided tour. I've done it. I've loved it. The pictures are over there at slowbaja.com/adventures, and you can check them out. And if you've got some questions, let's talk. Coming to you from the Shieldman recording booth, thanks for tuning in to the Slow Baja podcast. My heaping dose of gratitude today goes out to Slow Baja alum Bob Bauer. I ran into Bob and his family at the SoCal Overland Expo recently, and we got to talking about going slow in Baja and how I could use a set of BF Goodrich tires. And, you know, Bob still knows some folks over there, and he was kind enough to introduce me and mentor me in pitching my go slow and say hello travel concept. And, well, hearty thanks, Bob. Can't wait to share a photo with Slow Baja wearing her new shoes. And thanks to the good folks at BF Goodrich for thinking a little outside the box. Baja proven still means something, and I'm super stoked to be part of the BF Goodrich team, be part of that BF Goodrich legacy. All right, well, today's show is with Sean Michael. He's a professor. He does outdoor product design and all sorts of interesting landscape stuff at Utah State. And you can find him on Instagram under the handle of The Gear Doctor. He and his wife, Dolores, are what I call outdoorsy. She's a trail runner and rock climber, and they mountain bike, and they river raft, and they do all sorts of fun outdoorsy stuff. And they were the first folks, they were the first entry, they were the first couple to bring a Sprinter van on the Slow Baja. And I gotta say, I'm delighted that they did. Got me over the hump on Sprinter vans and Sprinter people. And so today's show is all about what you need to know when you're bringing your Sprinter van to Baja. So without further ado, it's Sean Michael and a little afterword by Dolores on today's Slow Baja. Hello, 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 hello. Let's talk to each other. Say hello, Sean. Can you... We're here with the Gear Doctor. I've got Dolores off camera. helping out. Dolores, who made this delicious cup of coffee. How many more D's? That's a lot of alliteration. Dolores and delicious. It's Slow Baja in the Shieldman recording studio with the gear doctor, Sean Michael. How are you, man?
Buenos dias.
We've got some Baja on our throats. You can hear it in my voice. Sean, say hello.
It's great to be here, Michael. We're living the dream at Overland Expo SoCal for the first event, but more so, we just came off of a great week together south of the border.
Yeah, it was fun. You know, I had a no sprinter policy. You exploded it nicely, so I'm over it now. What I'd love to talk about, you've spent some time in Baja. You're into gear. Your Instagram is The Gear Doctor. I want to talk about what people who have these amazing vehicles should know if they're taking them to Baja, but more importantly, why they should take them to Baja. And again, we talked about it here with your neighbor. You know, people are just still very afraid to go to Baja. Baja, ask your doctor if Baja's right for you. That's a real concern. So take it away. Let's have a little free form. You know, we're sitting in these comfortable Shieldmans. Dolores made a cup of coffee. Thank you, Dolores. And let's talk about it.
Well, first of all, as you know better than most of us, Baja's just magic to begin with. So to get down there, however you do it, is awesome. I think for us, we're pretty newcomers to traveling in Baja. We came to it from wanting to understand how do we do an easy start into international overland travel. We've done a lot in the Intermountain West where we live in Utah. But I think for us, the learning about it was starting with your podcast, reading a lot of books, classics and guidebooks, and just trying to become knowledgeable and getting over a lot of those fears that people initially face. And that's the thing for us. The fears have kind of melted away the more that we've traveled and coming to love the people and the landscape down there and the ecology. But currently we travel in this van. It's a 2016 Mercedes-Benz Sprinter, the short wheelbase, the 144. It's a 4x4 version. We've traveled in a Land Cruiser, little newer than yours. Ours is a 97.
You've got an 80?
We've got an 80 series, yes, sir.
FJZ 80 for those geeks.
That's right. Not a VX, unfortunately, but and wonderful.
The last version, I think, of my motor, fuel injected and all that.
Yep,
that's enough about
6. Land
Cruisers. I'm going to get back to Sprinters.
Sprinters are rightly so labeled in a lot of funny ways. People see them as, in some ways, kind of off-putting and like the antithesis of down-to-earth overlanding. In fact, I think we had a little bit of hesitation when we decided to get this during COVID because of that reputation maybe or appearance. But that said, that they're a brilliant vehicle. Van travel is quite different. Like here at Expo, you see all these setups that kind of expand out from someone's vehicle, sometimes like taking up acreage all around them with rooftop tents and shower enclosures and kitchen setups. The vans are great because all of that's on the inside, and so you roll into camp and they're really svelte, and when the Baja de Los Angeles winds are just ripping, you just step inside and you get protection. So there's a lot of reasons to love vans, and we're advocates of the Sprinter, but there's other great ones too.
Yeah, so, you know, my background, I spent some time in a Westphalia camper, which was an earlier version of this vehicle, basically. And this vehicle is a much, much, much more capable, much better version. But we got to know each other at Overland Expo because it was pouring rain, and I got to shelter in your rig, and we got to have tea and talk and all that, and showed up here in Southern California. And it never rains in Southern California. Isn't that a song? Anyway, showed up here in a atmospheric river, torrential downpour. I went to 3 shops to buy a tarp. Tarps are sold out in Orange County, folks. You heard it here from Slow Baja, but finally got a tarp that I could really protect my truck. And it was just great hanging out here in this vehicle while the elements were kind of miserable. Blue skies now, but this rig on the trip really did well, and you did well with it. Drove down beaches, sandy approaches to Terra Peninsular, Baja 1000 ripped up trophy truck roads, up and down Raul's driveway. That's no joke. I mean, that kind of gives you a little pucker driving down that approach into Raul's place. It's woo. And then on the way out, I have to really make sure my engine's warmed up so I can literally make it up that thing without stalling in front of 15 vehicles, which has happened. So tell me about what gave you a little pucker, and I hate to put it that way, but what parts of the trip did you just say like, ooh, I don't know if I want to do this? Or were there any?
I could pretend to say that they were puckery, but we've spent enough time down there that really nothing made us blink. Even the owner sitting across from us here recording, Dolores, didn't.
Shout out Dolores.
Yeah, I mean, we've gone some rough places. This trip, as it turns out, we were really more sand was kind of the obstacle, a couple of hill climbs. But just in four-wheel drive with moderately aired down BFG KO3s, it was no problem. In fact, I think coming off the beach, the first little obstacle we faced as a group late in the evening, heading into first wonderful camp out, and I think
a steep ascent.
Right off the beach.
Yeah, right off the beach,
dunes.
a steep ascent for sure.
And I think you had asked me, did I feel comfortable with it? And, in the fading evening light, it's kind of hard to tell, but we got on it. It was zero issues.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you, I'm a wuss off-roading and stuff. I didn't grow up doing it. I didn't grow up breaking stuff. I didn't grow up getting stuck and digging things out. And pre-running on my October trip, I had a three-hour dig out, which is the first time in 40-something years that I've had, to really get stuck and dig myself out. And I just don't like doing it. I like getting into camp and having tacos and a sip of Fortaleza. So I'm concerned naturally and don't want other people to have a bad experience. But I was amazed at how well this thing did. And I don't think you got all four tires off the ground, but there was some air under some tires in some of the fun sections.
We may have lifted a front tire once or twice.
Yeah.
They have the flexibility of a skateboard. So, driver, be aware, as opposed to something like a Ford E350, if somebody's had a 4x4 conversion, they can have a lot of articulation. These are relatively stiff vehicles, whether it's a Ford Transit or a Sprinter. So drivers just have to be aware. You might lift a tire. You have to understand some left foot braking to be able to control wheel spin. But a lot of it, I think, is about getting out there and playing. People need to get out. They need to drop their air pressures, explore how much traction you can really get out of any of these rigs, even if it's a front-wheel drive Ram, one of the Ram ProMasters. Usually the vehicle is more capable than the driver realizes because we're
vehicles.
Yeah, we're urbanites. We don't practice enough.
Especially mine, yeah. What sort of things did you take away from your Baja travels? Have you found some favorite food or some favorite thing? I know some of the first night margaritas hit a little harder than some people may have thought. Your mileage may vary. That was pure Fortaleza, Controy, and freshly squeezed limes, and you're a great lime squeezer.
Thank you. Shout out to Opinel Knives for keeping it sharp.
Yeah, well, going forward, I'll be using your the gift that you gave me from Zeal Martinez from his knife shop, but that's going to be a beautiful knife for cutting limes.
He's a craftsman. Well, the food. Well, I guess first of all, I'd say we've certainly confirmed in our trips down that the legends of Baja tacos are accurate. They are remarkable. So the food, for sure, culinary side of the trips we love. But I think in terms of what we really see the magic, it's definitely the people in the landscape. And what about them? I would maybe describe it this way, that when you get out of the States, it's really good for you to get out of the States mentality, to get across the border, to be in the unknown, and to be able to discover the wonders of another country, your neighbors, and to be able to recognize them as wonderful people too. And they're just, the most friendly people. Even though we've gone down there with trepidation early on, we keep getting confirmed these are wonderful people.
Yeah. How about Angie and Pablo, who made dinner for us at Terra Peninsular? So that, I got a message from her earlier in the day that she was stuck. Yeah. So she's driving out there and she gets stuck. And I think she had Pablo assist her because he had a 4-wheel drive. So they're stuck, and he's a capable guy, drives chase trucks for race teams and whatnot. So as I'm leading the group, I just shot her a message, call Steve. So Steve was on my trip a year ago, and he comes out, pulls him out, gets the big truck there with all the lights and everything. And now he's, integrated into the meal, helping, cutting limes and doing everything else. And I think there's just a spirit of helping each other. And I think the stereotype is you're going to drive across the border in this beautiful van that costs 6 figures, and immediately somebody's going to hold you up and take this thing away from you. Mm-hmm. This thing that you've worked hard for, your home away from home, somebody's just going to take it. Yeah. And so knock wood, hasn't happened to me yet, 40 years. So
I mean, we try to use smart decisions throughout our trip, so we don't put ourselves in positions that are unnecessarily risky. And like any place across the whole peninsula, there's higher and lower levels of crime, and we don't tend to be aiming for urban areas. So when we're in the backcountry, really the safety issues have more to do with not getting stuck, for instance, or monitoring fuel levels. But I think initially we had those concerns about the van. We certainly made sure we insured it right, went through Baja Bound like a lot of people.
Shout out Baja Bound. Thanks, Jeff.
Got it covered there. They're great because we could go through two options of providers and get an estimate for its value. So for someone with a vehicle like this that's done custom work, you want to make sure you can do that. So we appreciated that was available, and I will say that there was towing insurance covered as well, which is a great bonus. If something goes wacky with your Mercedes sensors, that's some peace of mind. But in terms of getting out there and the safety side, I think we just kept seeing how warm the people were, and I've reflected on that. Dolores and I have talked a lot in terms of like, why is that? I think part of it is it's a peninsula that's built upon tourism and ecotourism, and so consequently, when travelers are coming in from the States or Canada or Europe, they're seen as very welcomed. They're seen as part of a circular economy where people are just coming there to have a wonderful time. And I would also say that the history of the Baja 1000 and score racing, folks who are not followers of that off-road racing community don't realize how much it's not paved the way, but I guess it's broken trail for the idea that guests are people to be welcomed. We appreciate them coming, to our peninsula, and that we want to support them. And it's the spirit of the race as well, that when someone breaks down, you help. So there's something deeper there that many people might not realize.
Right. Yeah, I did a podcast with a fellow who built a Class 11 racer, which they ran out of gas, and again, his co-driver had enough, and his co-driver left, and so he had to leave his vehicle to go get help. Which it was his first race. Most people would just stick around and stay with the vehicle, and so when he got back, the vehicle was gone. But the turnout of the Class 11 racers of the Ensenada community found the thing very quickly, and his transformation mentally from like, these people stole my car, to this amazing community rallied together to find my car was really the lesson that he took away from the whole thing. I want to talk to you again. Your focus is on gear. You lead classes at Overland Expo. I happen to sit in, no pun intended, on your class on how to shit in the woods. We're just going to say it. We might bleep it in the in the broadcast, but how to shit in the woods. So you're an expert in that. I mean, you lead classes in it.
Well, we've pooped in the woods a lot as a couple over the years. I will say, first of all, it's wonderful that Expo is an event that still values education, and I'm an educator by trade. My work is at Utah State University. I'm a professor of outdoor product design. So the notion of how do we get products that let people responsibly, enjoyably, safely travel in the backcountry, whether it's human-powered or whether it's motorized rec, is just what I think about every day. And for all of us, I think that explored the backcountry, we saw the impacts of COVID, meaning the impacts of people wanting to get out in the backcountry but not knowing how to do it responsibly. And so I proposed this new class, which is basically responsible human waste strategies, because over the years we've learned about that, from backpacking to whitewater rafting communities, and knowing how do you do that responsibly. But this is something that wasn't being taught even at Expo, and I think it's something we somehow feel like it's a dirty or an uncomfortable topic, and it shouldn't be. And so this class strives to make it feel comfortable and natural, quote unquote, to discuss. And it really is. In fact, there's great products out there that make it hygienic, that make it super convenient, and preserve privacy. And particularly for feminine needs, the market has been very responsive. So there's some cool brands that helped me with putting that class together.
That's your drink cup. That's not the P cup.
That's the P Sport bottle is outside, which I gotta say, shout out to P Sport. It is a game-changing product. This is the first trip that we've tried it, and having been a Gatorade bottle guy in the past, which doesn't help my lovely wife, the P Sport is super cool. But whether it's that or a Kula cloth for wiping, whether it's composting toilet, there are just great options out there.
So we had one night on the trip where we were out in the cactus with no facilities. But every night on Slow Baja, I'm trying to camp someplace that has some level of facilities, from Terra Peninsula, which I think has the best composting toilets on the peninsula. I am going to bring them a fresh round of toilet seats because just personally, I'm not really down with the whole, wood-grained vinyl cushioned toilet seat. That's
stylized 80s
That's a
wood.
holdover from the, exactly, I was going to say set 1978, but yeah, 1980s. But if those are the biggest problems we had, those aren't very big problems. But I do believe that finding a ethical, responsible solution to something that people do every day, sometimes multiple times a day, is part of why I was glad you were there. And next time you come, we're going to teach a class straight up what to do in Catavina, or what to do if you need to do it behind a bush on the trip.
Yeah, Catavina cat holes, how to do them right.
Yeah, Catavina cat holes, how to do them right. Today on Slow Baja. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with Sean Michael, word from Baja Bound, and more with Sean when we get back.
Here at Slow Baja, we can't wait to drive our old Land Cruiser south of the border. And when we go, we'll be going with Baja Bound Insurance. Their website's fast and easy to use. Check them out at bajabound.com. That's bajabound.com, serving Mexico travelers since 1994.
Hey, big thanks to those of you who've contributed to our Baja Baseball project. We launched our gear deliveries on my winter expedition. Michael and Matthew from Barbers for Baja were along for the ride, and we got to deliver that critically needed baseball gear up and down the peninsula. It was really, truly amazing. And on my last trip, I got to go to the state baseball championships and see some of our alums playing, some recipients of the Baja baseball gear deliveries. And congratulations to Guerrero Negro and Mulahey. The Austineros and the Cardinalitos won silver and bronze at the state championships. Big stuff. And it was really fun to be there and fun to see them. All right, well, please help us continue this vital work. Make your tax-deductible donation at the Barbers for Baja. Click barbersforbaja.org. Click the Baseball in Baja link, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I really do. It is so amazingly gratifying to be able to give these kids this chance to keep playing this sport, keep them on the field, keep them out of trouble. Please check it out. Baseball in Baja link at barbersforbaja.org. Thank you. I want to tell you about these new Rocky Talkie radios that I absolutely love. Heavy duty, beautifully made, easy to program, easy to use. We had 28 people, 15 trucks on the Slow Baja winter expedition. You can hand these radios to anybody from a 14-year-old kid to an 80-year-old, and they'll know how to use it. They are that well designed. One charge lasted the entire week. We are never out of range. I happened to upgrade to the accessory whip antenna
for my radio and for my sweeps radio, the Donovan brothers. We were never out of contact. I can't say it strongly enough. Rocky Talkie Radios, rockytalkie.com. Check them out. Slow Baja approved. Hey, we're back with Sean talking about vans and Catavina catholes and other such subjects, quesabirria tacos and Campo Archelon. So this vehicle is capable for staying out remote, obviously, and this vehicle is also perfect for sliding into Campo Archelon, which you guys did for the last few nights. Favorite spots that you saw on this trip, or favorite spots that you would tell people who had a van like yours, you really need to stay X, Y, or Z? What would you say?
Well, I think you want to try both the Pacific and the Gulf side. There's magic to both. They're very different in terms of character. We had a great time whale watching for our second time on the Pacific side, again off Guerrero Negro, once upon a time Scammons Lagoon, and I think that's great. I think on the Gulf side, there's so many really neat spots. This was our fourth trip. I think we've been to Bahia de Los Angeles every time. We've always wild camped while we were there. This was first time staying in the very cozy Campo Archelon. That was great for multiple reasons, not the least of which were very nice hot showers, very affordable, great cafe there if you need it, internet and so on. I think a person's got to find their own way to travel, and we're primarily backcountry travelers. We would always rather be out under stars than having any localized support. So we're normally traveling solo. First time we've done a group trip, and we love doing that with you. B, we're trying to get into remote, relatively unpopulated locations along the coast normally, but sometimes out in the cacti as well. Overlander's going to have plenty of sites for those doing their first or second trip or something and wanting to know options, but I think you really want to start adventuring a little bit too, discovering some of your own. Don't just go to sites that someone else has labeled, and then be self-aware about recovery. In my experience, the two things that were most concerning to me as a driver of a van like this was the sugary sand that you get as you transition from road to the more compacted beach area. In 4 trips, we've only been stuck one time, and it was because I stopped backing up into sugary sand, and a couple of, we carry 4 Action Tracks boards, and put those down, and we just rolled right out. It's just a no-brainer. So I think something like that, you gotta travel with good boards like the Action Tracks ones. But I would say the person's got to self-identify their fears that they don't want to address, and then ask what's really behind those, because the fears may start holding them back from discovering more of the magic of Baja.
Yeah, and I'm not going to twist anybody's arm if they don't feel like it's right for them. There's a lot of places in the States that they can go and, maybe have cell phone coverage and AAA to get them out and all that. So again, ask your doctor if Baja is right for you. This
doctor says it is right for
Well, I'm glad.
you.
I'm glad, and I'm delighted that you got me past some stereotypes about what sprinters can do and those dreaded sprinter people. I know Ty, who makes the sticker that says "one less sprinter van" that you can put on anything but your sprinter van. Shout out, Ty. Let's talk about 3 things, 3 pieces of kit as a gear doctor, as a guy who teaches this stuff. 3 pieces of kit that you would really recommend that people have if they're heading down to Baja in whatever vehicle, but you came in your Sprinter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, air compressor.
Okay.
Got to have a good air compressor, and of course a tire gauge to go with it, because you're going to be lowering pressure if you're getting off. Even on pavement. I mean, given the legendary potholes on the pavement, you will really want to drop PSI. So, for instance, into the world of sprinters, a heavily built Sprinter, someone could readily be running 60 to 70 PSI in their tires on the state side. You come across the border, you want to soften those up so when you hit a pothole inadvertently, you take out some of the impact. But once you get onto some washboards, you're going to drop lower than that, maybe anywhere from 25 to 40 psi. So that air compressor gives you the peace of mind to say, I can drop pressure, make the ride more comfortable, less abuse on the vehicle. So that would be one. I think you do have to ask a question about communications. And we ran Starlink Mini for the first time because my wife has to do telehealth meetings. We need to be able to check in. If we had any real serious problems traveling solo, we want to have that as a backup outreach mechanism, whether it's getting onto Sprinter Source to look up a fault code or something like that. So I would say a key piece of safety communications backup would be another. I definitely mentioned the boards earlier. I think that winches, of course, are well known to be an overrated recovery device, and so consequently, a good set of traction boards, at least 2 of them, ideally ones that have metal nubs on the end, less spin factor getting up onto the board is really wise. So I think those are some of the really core ones.
Air compressor, traction boards, and communication. Specifically, you said Starlink Mini.
Right. Now that stuff's all just the like the safety backup stuff. But on the fun side, like, what do you really need to take? We've been kicking ourselves.
Dolores is smiling, grinning. She's grinning over there. P-Sport bottle worked.
For fun and enjoyment, P-Sport 2.0.
But listen, again, like, it's funny for me to be driving around in the States and not just be able to pull over and water a cactus. Like in Baja, that's just a natural thing. And when you have a group of 15 rigs going down the road, the hardest thing is finding a place where everybody can pull over. Mm-hmm. But I cannot, put myself in a female guest's flip-flops to have to find a bush that offers enough coverage from a very large group that's all doing the same thing. We're all out there doing the same thing. So the P-Sport bottle.
And a van to do it in is...
A link in the show notes, folks.
This is one of the joys of a van, frankly, that when it's snowing, raining, or in the middle of a truck stop, that you can still take care of this personal business inside, out of view.
Right.
That has dramatically improved just our relaxed travel mode. You could be stuck in, as you've experienced, a 3+ hour Mexicali border crossing, and you got to pee, and you're not going anywhere. But here we just go into the back of the van.
There you go. Okay, 2 other things. So we've talked about some bigger things. Just give me a couple items that you really said, wow, this thing was great.
I'm going to actually shout out for binoculars because, for instance, this time we were right in whale season. You lined us up for a fantastic whale petting viewing experience, but we were seeing spouts.
Yeah, we went to the petting zoo
out on the water. But we met so many people that didn't have binoculars, and I think that's bonkers because you're looking out there and you're wanting to see, were those dolphins, were those whales, what's that blue-footed booby that's diving for fish?
Yeah.
So binoculars make the trip a lot more enjoyable. So that's one. I think another for us is paddle sports. We're still kind of kicking ourselves. We didn't bring our sup boards or kayaks.
And do you use inflatables? What do you do?
Yeah, so we've got a combination of hard shell kayaks, inflatable sups. We use Red Paddle Co. We've got a full-on Zodiac with outboard motor that will collapse, throw in the back of the van. So getting onto the water. Snorkeling gear for sure. Good little shorty wetsuit at least for chillier water. So a person wants to make sure they don't get so focused on safety navigation that they forget to enjoy. And then I guess I'll transition a little bit to the navigation side. You, like myself, are a big proponent of paper maps. And so jumping into thinking about where am I by looking at a paper map, getting your head out of Google, which Google Maps might not be working if you're offline. A paper map where you can make notes. You can say, I wonder what's down that road. You can read about everything from the old villages to chapels, cathedrals, etc. That curiosity causing part of what we bring, I think, is super powerful. and that's another type of gear that people can forget about.
Yeah, yeah. I think the couple pieces of kit that I really love is we're sitting in them right now. The Shield Mans. I've really had some horrific back pain the last couple of days, and I swear it's from the BMW rental. There's an atmospheric river I was driving through, so I swung into the airport, put my car in covered, my Land Cruiser in covered parking, picked up a rental car to drive up and see Salfish in Malibu, and I think just the 200 miles that I put on that thing in some BMW seats has me hobbled. The Shield Man seats, again, worth every penny, and I'm not just saying that because you're sitting on them, I'm sitting on them, but it really makes a huge difference. And I love the benchmark map. I just love, before the previous map was out of print, it was a collector's item. You pull one out and you're kind of flexing, like, here's my map that I could sell for $300 right now on eBay. To have these benchmark maps that you can just, like, if you see the one in my truck with 30,000 miles on it that's folded in half and ripped up and has all these notes, I think it's really an amazing thing. And more so in a world where we're sort of on iOverlander or committed to GPS all the time, to walk into a restaurant, cafe, store, what have you, and use the HPS, the human positioning system, even with the language barrier, to say, I'm here and I want to go there. And they're going to say, oh, no, there's a hurricane that took out that road. Or, oh, that road's been repaired since the hurricane and my cousin has a hotel there, or a taco stand or something. There's a network of cousins, the Primo network, I say, in Baja, that you should tap into. And often something as simple as opening a large map in a restaurant brings people to you who are curious about what are you doing and eager to help. And I think that's something that's kind of overlooked with our Swiss Army vehicles and our maybe people who overland are naturally introverts. I don't know, but people want to have all the answers and not have to interact. I still think interacting is pretty neat.
I think too, when you pull out the map like that, you're saying, I see you as the expert, as opposed to if I stare into my phone or my iPad, it conveys,
don't bother
the answers
me.
are in here. You don't know anything. So
Yeah.
I love that. I want to circle back real quick on something that would be overlooked by most people on these seats. We got these Shield Mans put in as we were building out this van. We did a combination DIY and had a professional builder, Acme, do the actual building itself. But these seats, one of the things that we faced as a decision in putting them in was, Toby asked us, so do you want armrests on them? And I was like, I don't know. I've never had armrests. It seems like a big RV thing that you put armrests in. But I got to say, one of the number one safety things that I tell van drivers coming down here is that the armrests on these seats are one of the most important safety factors for driving in crosswinds and very narrow Baja roads when you pass a very close semi, because precision steering is just much easier when your elbows are on these armrests. And that's not blowing smoke. They are a real safety factor for keeping us well. And we joked about me following you in the FG40 and seeing the amount of slack in your steering.
It's dangerous.
And
it'll be my end one day. Dolores, as a mother of three, is looking at me like, what an idiot.
Keep your hands on the wheel, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, but these little things are fun stuff to discover, whether it's via maps, navigation, whether it's dropping into roadside taqueria and discovering the people there or the artifacts on the wall. So I would just tell people, whatever the stuff, the gear that you're looking at, ask, does it empower the experience by making you curious, making you celebrate or be respectful of the folks that you're encountering, and allow you to drop some of your fear.
Yeah. Yeah, and we'll tie it all up with a bow and then we'll get out of here so you can teach your class. Kurt Williams, Cruiser Outfitters in Sandy, Utah, great adventurer, off-roader. He was talking about his trip with Land Cruisers to all 7 continents, and he said the best times were when they didn't have provisions and they had to eat locally. And he advocates, as I advocate, to not bring everything with you so that you don't have to stop at a taco stand. I think we ate pretty dang well. Did you come
I
away
think
with
we gained weight.
Yeah, for sure I did.
Especially
for sure,
those oysters.
because I did it 2 weeks in a row. Did you come away with a favorite? Are you an al pastor taco consumer, or a carne asada, or a quesabirria? What did you come away with? Like, this is the thing.
Oh gosh, I really love a grilled camarones, so shrimp taco. If I can just get grilled ones, I don't love a battered one.
Yeah.
Neither of us really love.
Much harder to find.
Yeah,
much harder.
So if I can do that,
These sprinter people.
The birrias, amazing. The lamb that we had was amazing. We discovered a new top 5 taco, and it was smoked yellowtail with a kind of a tangy aioli sauce, and it was out of this world. So I think we keep discovering new favorites. Like anywhere, there's kind of average food, but
sure,
even the average taco in Baja is a lot better than up here.
Well, we're going to leave it right there, folks. Sean, thanks for talking about Baja and Sprinter vans. If people want to find your Instagram, or where's the best place for people to reach you and see what you're doing?
They can go to @thegeardoctor, DOCTOR, at Instagram. They can look me up on Utah State University. And just a shout out to you, Michael. I thank you for all the work you do to make Baja accessible, to spotlight the people and the places. And we love being able to be a part of your trips, and more so to listen through the podcast.
Well, it was fun, wasn't it? You're making me blush, but it was fun. We had a good time. And if you're a Slow Baja alum, you can circle back, reach out to Raul at Rancho La Bayota, and you have alumni privileges to be able to stop in and see him again. So that's pretty cool. All right, we did it. Enjoy your class, and I'll see you. Thanks for feeding me. Thanks for the coffee, Dolores, and discussing all these wonderful gadgets that keep us adventuring.
De nada.
We did it. I'm putting Dolores on the spot unwillingly. This is just going to be a little addendum.
Goodness.
3 things, Dolores. What helped you enjoy Baja?
What helped me enjoy Baja?
P-Sport bottle.
Besides the P-Sport bottle, with you, it was amazing because we just relaxed. We just got to follow. We put everything away. We didn't have the itinerary. We just trusted Michael's got us, and we're going to just follow and have fun. So that was greatly enjoyable. Thank you.
That's it.
Yeah.
We can leave it right there.
That's awesome. I didn't have to worry about food.
Yeah, that was
The
fun.
food was amazing. I could just show up and eat.
Show up and eat and make coffee for me in the morning, which was pretty nice.
Yeah.
All right. You heard it here. Thanks, Dolores.
Uh-huh.
Hey, I hope you liked that show. Sprinters. Yeah, they're all over Baja, and I thought that was really great information from Sean and Dolores about what you need to know when you're bringing your Sprinter to Baja. And it's good information if you're not even bringing a Sprinter. Let's say you're bringing an old Westy camper. That's still good information. If you like what I'm doing, folks, I'm going to ask you to drop a taco in the tank. You can do that at slowbaja.com/donate. It's hard to do these shows on the road, low budget, hand to mouth kind of an organization. So if you like what I'm doing, you got to support it. It's real. Slow Baja store. I've got some good stuff over there. Got all the stickers in stock. Hats are still, every style is still in stock. Got some black tees. So if you're looking to rep some Slow Baja merch, it's a good time to get some of that because it's there. And Slow Baja Adventures. The next one coming up is the Vintage Adventure. It's a 1975 celebration of Sal Fish and the first Baja 1000 that he marked. So you got to come in something old for that. But March 2026, the Slow Baja Winter Expedition is on the calendar. You can sign up for that. So if you've got something newer and you want to get down to Baja with me and a fun group of the Slow Baja Winter Expedition, well, it's there, 2026. Check it out at slowbaja.com/adventures. Now I need to tell you about Mary McGee. She was super cool. The Motorcycle Mary's nominated for an Emmy for a short documentary feature. That's right. Haley Watson, congratulations. nominated for an Emmy. Looking forward to seeing if it wins. But Mary McGee was so cool, and she had a friend named Steve McQueen who got her out in the desert riding dirt bikes, getting dirty. And Steve loved Baja. He really did. And he said, Baja's life. Anything that happens before or after is just waiting.
You know, people always ask me, what's the best modification that I've ever made to Slow Baja? Without a doubt, it's my Shieldman seats. You know, Toby at Shieldman USA could not be easier to work with. He recommended a Vario F for me and a Vario F XXL for my navigator Ted, as Ted's kind of a big guy. And Toby was absolutely right. The seats are great and they fit both of us perfectly. And let me tell you, after driving around Baja for over a year on these seats, I could not be happier. Shieldman, Slow Baja approved. Learn more and get yours at shieldman.com.
You know, I'm all about keeping things simple, traveling light, and finding the really good stuff. And that's why I've been wearing iron and resin for years. It's not just clothes. It's gear that holds up in the dust, the salt, the spilled tacos, and still looks good when you roll into town. Made in small batches by folks who care, no flash, no fast fashion, just the kind of stuff that gets better the more you wear it. Check them out at ironandresin.com and pick up something that'll last the next 1,000 miles.